To discuss the $1 billion coming to Wisconsin for roads, bridges, and more, we are joined by the U.S. Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. Secretary, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. Good to be with you.
More than 80% of Wisconsin's money is going to the National Highway Program and the Surface Transportation Grants. Now, how do you respond to anybody who believes this is too much money going towards specifically roads as opposed to more diverse means, including mass transit and making communities more bike and pedestrian friendly?
Well, we don't view that as a zero-sum game. We're doing all of the above. The funding that is going out for roads and highways can also be used for what we call complete streets. In other words, making sure that when you have roads in the heart of a city, that they're friendly not only to cars, but for bicycles, for pedestrians, for wheelchair users, small business, you name it. We can do that, and we are doing that with these funds. Also, that $1.1 billion we're talking about, that's just this year's funding for Wisconsin alone for highways and bridges alone, but we also have hundreds of millions of dollars headed to the state of Wisconsin for things like public transit. Matter of fact, we're doing the biggest investment in public transit federally in U.S. history. And we're doing that because we know that when we have good transit, that not only benefits transit users, benefits the climate, benefits the economy, it even benefits people who are driving on the road because there's less congestion for them.
While the decisions on how to spend infrastructure money within these programs are made at the state level, what federal mechanisms are in place to ensure there's accountability for who's getting these contracts and that projects, especially those done at this scale, are being done on time and on budget?
So we maintain a very high standard for federal dollars. They need to meet very strict financial controls. After all, this is taxpayer money that we're talking about. We work closely with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation and other states that are deploying these dollars to make sure that they're used effectively. Now, there are also sources of funding that come directly from our department, where communities can come to us with projects that they want to get done in addition to the things that are going through the state by formula. And we were just able to announce through our latest round of funding, several locations across Wisconsin, including Sheboygan, Beloit. There's funding going to the Oneida Nation for a tribal project that they're doing, and really excited about that as well. We also have the infra program. We've got $80 million headed to support the I-39 9094 bridge that needs to be replaced close to Decorah. And even if you don't live anywhere near there, there is so much truck traffic on those roads that the entire supply chain of the Midwest is impacted by the investments that we're going to be able to make directly working with the project sponsors to fix those bridges.
Is there a point where you'd want the U.S. DOT to compile ideas and strategies that have been particularly effective in some states and advise others to start following suit?
Yeah, it's a great point. We're actually working on this right now. We convened a summit last week at the White House, and we brought together experts from different states, from the private sector, labor, academics, to really focus on this issue of what are the best practices to help projects get done on time, on task, and on budget. The truth is, major infrastructure projects are notoriously prone to taking too long and costing too much. But we know, especially in the fight against inflation right now, that time is money, and we've got to get these things done swiftly and efficiently. That's going to continue to be a focus where our department helps local communities, state DOTs, everybody who's involved in this infrastructure revolution that we're going through as a country.
You just touched on it. With inflation still at a 40-year high, how concerned are you? Rising costs will make a number of projects more expensive, thereby limiting just how many improvements the funding in this bill can cover.
Well, that is creating a lot of pressure to make sure that we get the best value out of our federal dollars on everything from raw materials to project planning to actually delivering these improved bridges and the better airports and the port improvements and everything else we're working on. But it also works the other way. In other words, part of the fight against inflation is making sure that we have the best infrastructure. When you have a bridge that's got a load limit and so trucks have to go around another way, when you have a rail network that's over capacity and goods can't flow the way they should, when you have a port that really needs a new berth or a new dock, but they haven't had the funding to do it, all of that actually contributes to inflation because it adds to shipping costs and creates bottlenecks. We're taking out more and more of those bottlenecks through the infrastructure investments.
Now, you serve under a president who is nicknamed Amtrak Joe. What are the odds we see movement toward high-speed rail in the Midwest?
Well, I've been hearing from a lot of enthusiastic Midwestern leaders, including the mayor of Madison, about visions for high-speed rail to come to the Midwest. And, I myself am a product of the Midwest, grew up in northern Indiana, live in Michigan now, and I know how that region can benefit from excellent rail service. Right now, we are making investments to improve the state of repair of the rails that Amtrak depends on every day. There's a lot we can do also to make sure that the freight railroad companies live up to their legal responsibility to make way for passenger trains when Amtrak is running on their rails to go on time. So I think there's a lot that we can do with the rail system we have today to make it more efficient and more dependable. And we're also excited about the potential for a high-speed rail system tomorrow.
Was it a mistake to not earmark any money for high-speed rail in the infrastructure bill?
Well, I think it's a good thing that the infrastructure law is flexible in this way. Some of the funding is for repairing what we've got. Some of it is for expanding what we wish we had, but that needs to be created anew. And we're not dictating every piece of that, every project out of Washington. We know that things work best when people can come to us with their ideas, when communities, states, transit authorities, rail operators say, look, here are our biggest needs, here are our biggest opportunities, can you help us with funding? We don't believe all the answers are going to come out of this building, but more the funding will, and that's the great thing about this infrastructure package.
All right, Pete Buttigieg, the United States Secretary of Transportation, we appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping by and joining us.
Same here, good being with you.